Welcome to another edition of Darkness Radio. I'm Tim Dennis, sitting in for Dave Schrader tonight. Tonight I'm excited because, we are a paranormal radio show. However, a lot of times we're talking about how you can improve yourself, either your spiritual health, your physical health, whatever it is you can do to get yourself into a better place. And I'm proud to bring aboard our first guest tonight. Our first guest is Mike Pettigrew. He's wrote the #1 Amazon bestseller, Unlock Gratitude Now. Now, Mike shares his experiences of both failure and success, which I'm sure we all can learn from and need to learn from. He explains how you can change your dominant thoughts and emotions quickly and easily, and how this can lead to your long-term success and happiness. He also suggests several experiments you can try for yourself, and we'll talk about that during the program, that allow you to prove to yourself that your mind and emotions really do affect physical matter. Let's welcome to the program, and the Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio Show, Mike Pettigrew. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Tim. How are you doing?
Doing about as well as can be expected today. Let's start with that sentence first. When someone asks you how you're doing today, some of us have the overwhelming need to tell you the truth, and that could be a half-hour conversation. Or some of us are just like, yeah, fine, and move on. And others are absolutely feeling great. Tell me, right off the start, how do we change that mindset right away?
Well, I think, Tim, we all have rough days, and no matter what strategies, tools, or techniques we use, there will always be rough days. But I think over a period of time, whatever our dominant feelings are, our dominant thoughts, our dominant emotions, have profound effect on the way our lives progress. And as I say, we all have rough days, we all have good days, and it's a bit of a mixture. But I honestly believe, from my own experience and the experience of many, many, many people, that it's possible to change our dominant thoughts and emotions. It's not instant, but we can do it. And I think a good example of the effects of our dominant thoughts and emotions, if you have a very complaining and resentful attitude, and compare that to somebody who's positive and optimistic and not begrudging everything, over time, those two people's lives progress very, very differently. And I think we see this in old age. I've done a lot of hospice volunteer work in the past, and often, usually, as human beings, we become more of the same. We become more of the same. And people generally in old age become people, sorry, let me rephrase that. People who've had a rough time, who've had a really hard life, they usually end up in one of two ways: either bitter, resentful, twisted, and full of regret, or else compassionate, caring, loving, kind, and understanding. And even though both people have had a rough life, depending on their attitude, it has profound effect on not just how you feel, but the opportunities you actually draw into your life. Because I feel, and this book that I wrote, Unlock Gratitude Now, the real core message is that gratitude acts as a magnet. It acts as a magnet. And when you are expressing gratitude frequently, and it takes discipline. It's not something that you just, it's something that you need to repeat. When you start living your life based on gratitude, you actually draw into your life all sorts of benefits. But if you are expressing resentment and complaint, that's absolutely the opposite. It works at pushing away amazing things from happening to you. Sadly, we become what we think and what we feel.
Let me ask you this, Mike. Is it a matter of nature versus nurture? Is it a matter of when you get to the end of your life being one or the other? Is it your genetic makeup, or is it the way you've handled experiences? Because I'm just going to share this with you, between you, me, and a whole lot of listeners right now. I have had an incredibly rough life, and people may say, well, Tim, you're on the radio. You have this, dream job. Most of us actually go to work for a living. I understand that. I understand that side of things. However, I've dealt with incredible physical ailments and in circumstances that I don't necessarily want to talk about on the show, but that have really suppressed me and made me very skeptical, not cynical, but skeptical. Sure. As an adult. You get that hard edge. You get that Jaded is a good way to put it. You become jaded to a lot of things. What is it nature or nurture that makes me that way? Is it the way I was raised, or is it inside me that I have to counter program that programming?
Tim, that's a very deep question and a rather deep answer. And if I backtrack way back to, I think it was 1977, my cousin, I was about 15 years old at the time, he was 19, and he was killed in a road accident. Terrible tragedy. Mm-hmm. And our family was utterly decimated. It was just horrendous. And he was actually my hero. Peter was an amazing person. But his death sent me on a quest that really continues to this day. And I studied everything I could about the evidence for life after death. Now, back in the late 70s, there was nothing. Dr. Raymond Moody's book, Life After Life, had just come out.
Right.
And it utterly changed my life. It changed my aunt and uncle's life as well, his parents. But that made me dig really deep. I was always the kid at school who asked the questions that the teachers couldn't answer. So I had to really find the answers for myself. But all I can say is that I'm a skeptic. I really am a skeptic. I'm not a cynic, definitely not, but I'm a skeptic. I like to see, touch, feel, and weigh evidence if it's there.
Right.
And I've done a lot of skeptical digging throughout my life. But I'm absolutely certain that our lives continue. And my research, I founded the Institute for Afterlife Research back in 2002. And my research has shown that we all come into this world with exactly the same purpose. We come here to grow spiritually. Now, that's nothing to do with religion. We grow here to become better, more compassionate, happier, more caring, more loving individuals. And we're here also to help other people on their path. And I really believe that those of us who live really hard lives, I'm pretty sure that we choose a lot of our hardship before we even come into this incarnation, because it enables us to grow the qualities that we need to grow. So I know that's not what you expected to hear, but I think at a deep level that is that's the true reason. But at the same time, you said, is it nurture, is it nature? Yes, I honestly believe that we choose the major circumstances of our lives and any impediments that go with that. But also, when we get here, when we are born into and incarnated into this physical world, we can make a total botch of our life if we wish, or we can go beyond what we came here to do. But I really feel that when we are here, we have free will, total free will. But if we actively engage in why we're here, to grow and help others grow, I think we can overcome maybe not the physical stuff, but I think we can overcome the suffering that's related with any major illness. In other words, we have great ability to reduce to a great extent the pain that we experience, the emotional pain that we experience from whatever it is that life deals us.
I'm going to throw this at you too here, Mike.
Sure.
I think I end up in a unique, not so unique, but unique perspective when it comes to life. Even though I've had the tar beat out of me, and I've come up against some extremely extenuating circumstances, I'm still not all sweetness and light about things. And, it's a great day. It's a brand new day. The sun's shining. The birds are chirping. I get up and I go, okay, I'm going to move through it. And it's not, to me, that doesn't feel positive. But do you consider, all right, I'm just going to get through it, or I'm going to move through it? Is that the beginnings of positivity to you, or is it the seeds of negativity?
Definitely, Tim. It's the beginnings of positivity. In fact, some of us are have such a rough time getting from day to day is a huge challenge. And to be able to do that is incredible. And I relate to what you're saying, Tim, because back, over about 12 years ago, I was in a horrendous situation. I had been very successful through business. I was actually a millionaire, self-made, and that came about through a lot of hard work. And I built up this business. It was actually office plants, interior plants, and I grew it to be one of the biggest of its kind in Ireland. I sold the company to a multinational. At that point, I was doing lots of hospice volunteer work, and I launched the Institute for Afterlife Research. And I thought I was doing my life's work. I really, really loved what I was doing back then. But then life has twists and turns for us that we don't expect. Twists and turns that we, on a deep level, we need and we definitely don't want. And as I say, 12 years ago, through trusting the wrong people, making really bad investments, I lost everything. I was at the stage where I'd spent my last cent in the world. It was that bad. I had no way of feeding my wife or our newborn baby. I can't even begin to describe the suffering I was going through. Every morning, that one particular year, we lost $250,000 in that 1 year alone, and there were several of those years.
Oh my gosh!
But I literally dragged myself out of bed. I woke up every morning going, "Oh no, I can't take anymore," and I would honestly want to vomit with the fear every morning. I'd want to vomit with the fear. It was that intense.
Well, Mike, let's do this. Let's take our break right now. When we come back, I want to find out how you got out of that, because this is one of those stories that people need to hear, because, in our everyday life, I think we've all been to that point at some time or another where we've gotten down to that last cent. We just don't know how we're going to do it. But I want to know how you did it. So let's do that when we come back. Now, you do have a special deal for Darkness Radio listeners. Can you tell us about that real quick?
Absolutely. In fact, if listeners go to unlockgratitudenow.com/gift, that's unlockgratitudenow.com/gift. I've got a free bundle just for Darkness Radio listeners. It's only going to be available for a short time. It's not for anybody else. And it includes the full text of my book, Unlock Gratitude Now, also my audio book, What Happens When We Die, and also a video course, 30 Days to Empowerment, Success, and Happiness. And actually, because of the interests of your listeners, I think your listeners will be particularly interested in the video course, because in it I demonstrate a mind over matter experiment, moving physical objects using the mind. And anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. And in the video, you'll find out exactly how. So that's unlockgratitudenow.com/gift.
All right. Check it out during the break. When we come back, more with Mike Pettigrew here on Darkness Radio. Or give us a call when we're on live on Monday night. Our guest tonight, I'm extremely excited to have on. Now that you've told us a little bit about what you have on your website, and we'll talk some more paranormal topics here in the second hour with you here, Mike. But I'm intrigued by just the concept of unlocking gratitude now. The book is Unlock Gratitude Now. And again, go to the website unlockgratitudenow.com/gift and check out everything that Mike has there for you as it pertains not only to getting yourself to that place in life where you want to be, but it also has something to do with moving stuff with your mind, Mike?
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. That's demonstrated in one of the videos.
If you can get me, the ultimate skeptic, to move stuff with my mind, you're going to change my mindset completely.
It's actually, would you believe, Tim, I had an amazing teacher back around about 1997, 1999, around about then. And I was doing this bioenergy healing course, and it was a year-long course, outstanding course, learning to use the mind and channel energy to heal people. It's I feel way beyond Reiki. Amazing really? Results that people get with it. But I was doing this course, and there was a guy doing the course with me, and he said, "Look, I feel you need to meet this friend of mine. He's a healer," and he was from the UK. And anyway, to cut a long story short, about 3 weeks later, that healer came over from the UK. He was in my car. I was driving over the mountains above Dublin city, and it was a beautiful sunny day. And there were a few big fluffy clouds in the sky. And he said, what are you doing later today? And I said, well, actually, I'm going to a meeting, and the theme of the meeting is how we affect our environment, how our mind affects our environment. And he said, and a big grin on his face. He said, can I show you a demonstration of this? I said, yeah, sure. And he said, well, pull the car in. So I pulled my car into the side of the road. And he said, do you see that big cloud up there? And I said, yes. And he said, watch. And he literally pointed his hand at the cloud, and about 15, 20 seconds later, the cloud was there no more. And I nearly peed in my pants.
I would too, yeah. Yeah.
I was shocked. I was really shocked. Now, this was not suggestion. This was not help. This was not hypnosis, because he didn't tell me what he was going to do.
Okay.
And anyway, I just laughed. I said, "That's brilliant. That's amazing." Now I've experienced all sorts of unusual occurrences during my lifetime. I've been involved in the paranormal most of my life, but that was the first time I'd seen a cloud disappear.
I bet,
anyway, we drove down the mountain towards the valley, and he said, "Look, pull the car in again. This time you pick a cloud." And I said, "Okay, look, I picked a cloud that was kind of long and thin." And he said, "Right, okay, thanks for picking the cloud. Now I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to break the front part of the cloud away from the rear part of the cloud. I'm going to bore a hole in the front part of the cloud, and the second piece of the cloud behind, I'm going to make a little curly hook." I said, "No way, that's not possible."
Right.
And I'd say about a minute and a half later, he'd done exactly that. And I was absolutely shocked to my core.
Wow.
Now, I can't prove this, but I can show in the video, as I say, it's unlockgratitudenow.com/gift. In one of the videos in this 4-part video course, I give a demonstration of moving a small object, not a big cloud, but it's something that anyone can test this for themselves and get direct feedback of whether it's real or not. As I say, I'm a skeptic. I like to be able to see, touch, and feel, and weigh, and measure things. And I like proof.
Yes.
Because when you're talking about metaphysical stuff, there's a lot of airy-fairy BS out there, to be honest.
Yeah.
And people, it's so important. Life after death and all these healing type things. It's so important to get at least really strong evidence that these things are real. Because you know what? When you prove it to yourself by your own direct experience, it takes it to a much deeper dimension. It's no longer a thing you believe. It's a thing that you know. And when you know something, things change. Things change in your life very quickly.
Very true. Now let's get back to that part of the story we were at in the last segment. Now you don't have a cent in your pocket. You've got a wife and a brand new newborn child.
Yeah.
You're at this point where you've lost your money, your fortune, and at this point, this is the point, Mike, where people break. They either move on or they break, or they try to find, you're trying to find temporary shelter in whatever you can. You're living day to day to try to get the family from one day to the next. This is when we go into, I guess you could call it short-term stinking thinking, because you're thinking, you know what, I just need to make it to tomorrow. I just need to make it to the end of the week. I just need to make it to the end of the month. What was it that turned you around? What hit you that, you know what, I can't live the way others live?
Well, Tim, I think if you're single and this happens to you, it's pretty awful. But if you've got two people whose lives depend on you, it's really scary, and it was just terrible. But I obviously, I literally sent this prayer, this determination, or this vow into the universe. This will change, and it will change now. And within literally a day, I picked up a book, an amazing book. A lot of your listeners will have heard of it. It was by Wallace D. Wattles, and it was The Science of Getting Rich. Now, The title is very misleading. I feel he should have called the book "How to Achieve Your Heart's Desire Through the Power of Gratitude." I think that would have been a more accurate title. And I was reading about, now, gratitude was something that was not unfamiliar to me by any means. It's something I had used over the years, but sometimes you have to learn something to a far greater depth, or you have to have everything stripped away to really understand something. And I after reading this book, I realized that I had to test an experiment. Today I call it my crazy gratitude experiment. And basically what I did was, every 30 minutes of the day, I'd ask myself, what had been my dominant thought and emotion within the past 30 minutes? And I'd replace it with gratitude. And I did this every 30 minutes of the day. Now, I assure you, I didn't feel grateful for anything. I did not feel grateful for anything. Things were so stinking horrible. And it was completely, what would you say, manufactured, artificial gratitude. But the way I did this was, I don't know if you've ever had on the program Bruce Moen. He's written several books about life after death, and he gave an amazing workshop in my home here back in, I think it was 2001, and he said something amazing to me one day, so simple but so meaningful. He said, "Mike, if you ever want to return to any state of consciousness you've experienced in the past, all you need to do is remember what it feels like." And you think, well, what? That sounds so simplistic. But it is absolutely true. So in order to bring up gratitude every 30 minutes of the day, I had to think about something in the past, some event in the past where I felt deep, sincere gratitude. Now, I had to think about it for quite a while before I would actually start feeling that feeling again. At first, it was very difficult, but after maybe a couple of hours, it was getting more easily. And then after a day, I could literally bring up that feeling at will without having to even remember the event. It was just getting the process started that was difficult. And you know what, Tim? After 3 days, amazing coincidences started happening again. And I hadn't seen a positive coincidence for a few years. It was amazing. In fact, the magnitude of those coincidences were such that major synchronicities happened that affect me profoundly to this day. It was that's the power of the effect of this. So no matter how difficult life is, no matter what hardship or situation we're facing, no matter how scared we are, it is possible to unlock our situation by doing this crazy gratitude experiment. It is that powerful. Normally we think of gratitude as one of those sort of nice, weak things. Gratitude is awesomely powerful. Gratitude can change lives. I remember hearing once of an experience of a guy in Japan, and he was going to, take his own life. He was going to commit suicide. Life was that bad for him. And fortunately, he confided in a close friend, and she had great respect for him and said, "Look, I've known you all my life, and I wouldn't try and talk you out of anything that you've made your mind up on." But she said, "Would you do one thing for me before you die?" And he said, "Yes, of course." And she said to him, "Well, I'm sure there are people who have helped you at some point in your life. Are there?" And he said, "Yeah, lots of people." And very wisely, she said, "Look, can you please write a short thank you letter to each one of those people before you say goodbye to this life?" And he did. And as he started writing these letters of gratitude to all the people that had helped him along his way, he felt true gratitude welling up within his life, and the will to go on living, the strength to go on living. I often think about gratitude as being if we're suffering terribly, Tim, if we're in a really dark place, it's literally like being in a dark room, a pitch black room. We can't see anything. But imagine there's a blinding white light on the other side of the door. Now, you can't see anything in the room because the door is closed. But all you need to do is open the door a crack and the light comes flooding in and you can start seeing what's in the room. And gratitude acts in the same way. All we need to do is bring up a little bit of gratitude and it illuminates our lives. We start to see solutions. We start to see ways forward. We start to see things that we didn't see in our environment before. Gratitude actually raises our consciousness and we start seeing things as they really are rather than the way we thought they were.
Let's take a break, Mike. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about how we start to manifest some of that gratitude. Again, go to unlockgratitudenow.com/gift and see all the free stuff that Mike has there for you, including, you said, Mike, the entire text of the book?
Yeah, giving away the entire book.
Wow.
Unlock Gratitude Now, and an audio book, What Happens When We Die, and the 3-part video course that includes the Mind Over Matter experiment.
All right, check it out right now. Unlockgratitudenow.com/gift. When we come back, more with Mike Pettigrew here on Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal talk radio, Darkness Radio. I'm Tim Dennis, sitting in for Dave Schrader tonight. Our guest is Mike Pettigrew. He is the author of Unlock Gratitude Now. Go to unlockgratitudenow.com/gift to get the entire text of the book for free, to get a free audiobook and a video on how to move things with your mind. This is like the best deal you can get on a Friday. I'm telling you, Mike. It's out of this world, but go check that out now. Mike, before the break, you were talking about, and in that last segment, you were talking about being able to visualize that moment of gratitude. For me, it's very easy. I can go to a spot where, and I guess you could say a spot of abundance, and this is my spot of abundance, okay? To me, I imagine being able to provide for my entire family a great barbecue, having a great time, enjoying the kids, enjoying the adults, having abundance, plenty of food and drink, maybe even a swimming pool out back, something where everybody in that moment is happy and happy to be together. Everyone's happy, healthy, well-fed, and having a great time. Now, I can bring that up in a flash.
That's wonderful.
Now, is it those type of moments that would be the match to light the fire that should put us in the spot where we want to be?
Oh, definitely. That's a wonderful analogy, Tim. Yeah, exactly. And that's what it does. It ignites something in your life when you do this. And it's in the beginning, yes, you do have to remember an event like you've just described. But after a while, you become so proficient at this that you can literally bring up the feeling of gratitude without attaching it to any memory. And there's a really useful NLP technique that people can do. It's called creating an anchor. And basically, a guy, I don't know, 100 or 200 years ago called Pavlov, he did an experiment with dogs. And every time he rang a bell, he would then feed the dogs. And after a while, he noticed that if he just rang the bell, the dogs would start jumping around and salivating, waiting to be fed, without even seeing food. So they related feeding time with the ringing of a bell. But human beings are very like dogs, and we can bring up gratitude using a very similar technique. So what you do literally is bring up that memory, like you've just described, Tim, at the barbecue with all your family and swimming pool and a lovely, wonderful day. Mm-hmm. Bring up that memory and let it intensify and let it intensify. The more gratitude you feel, the more potent this will work. And even if you have to keep at this for several minutes, at the point where you're literally overflowing with gratitude, that's the time to bring either hand, maybe your right hand, your thumb and forefinger together and press them together gently, okay? And that's literally setting an anchor. It's setting something in your subconscious that then later will have effect. So what happens is, if you're having any difficulty later on, maybe a day or two or week or month or a year later, bringing up gratitude, all you need to do is squeeze your thumb and forefinger together gently like that, and the same feeling will come up as when you set your anchor. It's incredible. So simplistic, but it works really effectively, and it's a great tool.
Are there specific moments we should be remembering for gratitude, or is it just, it could be, is it random? Could it be just kindness of a stranger one day, or is there something that's more powerful than other memories to bring up?
To be honest, I think gratitude is gratitude. I mean, we all have had some experience. It could be with family, it could be, the day we graduated, or it could be getting a wonderful toy on Christmas Day. I don't know. It depends. As long as we have at least one memory during our entire life that we can return to, that's sufficient. That's sufficient. The actual event in and of itself doesn't really matter.
Now, what is the difference between initiating gratitude and getting to that point of abundance, or changing your life around in your mindset, and using the power of the secret or the law of attraction? Is there a difference between the two? Are they two different practices, or are they really one and the same?
Well, I think The Secret was a wonderful book and a wonderful movie. I really, really enjoyed it. But I think in The Secret, there are lots of missing secrets.
Okay.
Lots of missing secrets. And the law of abundance, it absolutely works. It absolutely works. And I think the core of the law of abundance and The Secret is that thoughts are real. Thoughts create. Thoughts are things. But I think there's a lot more to it than just doing creative visualization or affirmations and just hoping that something will happen. There's nothing like action. Whatever goal we have in life, whatever determination we set for ourselves, there's a way to write our goals. There's a way of then converting those goals into affirmations that have major effect on our subconscious mind. But we also need to learn how to overcome the negative voice that we all have within us, the voice that, the conditioning we've received since the day we're born. And we also need to create action steps to really manifest anything substantial. If we don't look at each one of those parts and make effort in each one of those areas, then the law of attraction, it's kind of wishful thinking.
I know for a while I tried doing the law of attraction, doing The Secret. To me, it didn't, and maybe it's because I didn't put enough faith in it. Maybe I didn't put enough work in it. But to me, it seemed like it was a long road to hoe. It was a long, it seemed arduous.
Sure.
And that there wasn't much of a return. But then you think to yourself, am I doing it right? Am I not doing it right? Or if I'm skeptical from the beginning, does that set me back automatically? I guess that's why I'm intrigued with your story, because you are a skeptic. You are somebody who needs to see it, feel it, touch it, be able to realize that this is real in order for it to go forward. And to me, The Secret kind of seemed like it was pie in the sky thinking.
It can appear like that, and I think a lot of people have been disillusioned by the message, simply because, as I say, there are missing secrets in The Secret. But as I mentioned earlier, and you just said it again, I am a skeptic, and it's so important to get direct, tangible evidence that these things are real, if we are to be able to use them really potently. And there was a Japanese scientist, his name is Dr. Masaru Emoto, and the reason I'm talking about this is because it's so important to gain evidence that our dominant thoughts and emotions really do affect the world. And when we get that evidence, then we can start using that we can use tools to make that work to our benefit. And with Masaru Emoto, basically he was doing experiments in frozen water that was freezing, and he would observe the formation of crystals in frozen water, and he used, I think, high-speed photography, and basically he would get someone to project thoughts of love to the water samples that were starting to crystallize, and other water samples he would get people to project anger, frustration, fear. And the difference, and in a scientific experiment, you have to repeat this experiment many times. And if you get the same results each time, something's happening. And in the cases where feelings of compassion, love, gratitude were sent to certain water samples, they would grow beautiful shapes, into absolutely beautiful shapes. Whereas anger, fear, all those lower emotions that were projected to certain water samples, the crystal structure would be totally different, stunted and ugly. And this happened again and again and again. And he wrote an amazing book called The Hidden Messages in Water. But Masaru Emoto is only one scientist who's done work like this. Dr. Harry Oldfield, who's a friend of mine, he's over in the UK, he developed an amazing device called the PIP scanner. I think he's renamed it to New Energy Vision. And basically it shows energy fields on a computer screen in front of you. The energy fields that surround all living organisms, including human beings. And actually, I have one of these PIP scanners myself, and it's absolutely fascinating. You can see the effects of your mind on another person's energy field, and you can see it in literally a few seconds. It's incredible, and this leads on to things like absent healing. And does absent healing actually work? Well, with this PIP scanner, you can see it happening right in front of you.
Wow.
You can see the effect of your mind on your environment, and particularly, as I say, on other people.
Mike, let's take our last break of the hour here. When we come back, let's talk a little bit more about the power of the mind. And I want to tie it into an aspect of science that I've tied it to on previous programs, but I'm going to do that with you here. Again, the website is unlockgratitudenow.com/gift. Get the entire text of the book for free. Get a free audiobook of Unlock Gratitude Now. And you also get a video on how to move things with your mind. It's all at unlockgratitude.now/gift, and it's all free. Check it out during the break. We'll be back with more with Mike Pettigrew right after this. Welcome back to the best in paranormal talk radio, Darkness Radio. Tim Dennison for Dave Schrader, who is back on Monday for Supernatural News and Parashare Monday. Our guest this hour and next hour is Mike Pettigrew. The book is Unlock Gratitude Now. You can actually download the entire text of the book, get a free audiobook, and get a video on how to move things with your mind. I know you're skeptical. I love my skeptics out there, but check it out right now. unlockgratitudenow.com/gift. Mike, here's what I'm going to tie it into. I teased this before the break. I'm going to tie in what you've been talking about with the power of the mind, gratitude, being able to move things or change things through will to quantum physics. Now, there's been an article out there within the last 6 months that says the afterlife may be connected to quantum physics. Everything that we know and that we shape with our minds is probably a product of quantum physics. Now, I want your aspect on that. Are you a big quantum physics believer? As a skeptic, do you see the science behind all of this?
To be honest, I'm not an expert on quantum physics, but I do know that as we evolve our understanding of physics, and particularly the experiments that have been conducted in quantum physics, they're literally verifying what esoteric traditions have been saying for thousands of years. So normally spirituality and science, they're almost at loggerheads, they're almost at opposites, but it's amazing. As we progress our understanding of the universe through science, it's validating what other disciplines have said for thousands of years. And I mentioned Dr. Harry Oldfield earlier,
right,
and his PIP scanner. Now, Harry's an amazing human being because he's trained in the Western tradition, but he also has a lot of training in Eastern tradition. And when you blend those two together, you can make amazing breakthroughs. And he has created all sorts of inventions, including, I think it's the Oldfield microscope that has completely revolutionized the field of microscopy. So I think as we progress in the next few years, I think there are amazing breakthroughs ahead that verify that, well, life continues after death, for one. There have already been scientific experiments into the evidence for life after death. I think Sam Parnia, University of Sheffield in the UK, and Dr. Pim van Lommel in the Netherlands, they have done incredible experiments. And I remember reading this back around about 1999, the British Medical Association's journal, The Lancet, the conclusion of their studies, and there won't be time to get into the studies, but the conclusions was that for the first time ever, there is now evidence, scientific evidence, that life continues after death, and that we may need to reevaluate our understanding of human consciousness and the brain, and they may not be one and the same, and one is not a product of the other necessarily. So I think we're at an amazing age, Tim, where incredible breakthroughs will be made, and it will help so many people realize we're here long term, and I mean really long term, and that there's reason for everything and meaning to everything, even the rough stuff. It's all there for a purpose.
And we'll talk a little bit more about the afterlife in our second hour here, but I want to ask you this question, and that would be, would it be fair to someone who's a skeptic or a cynic who may be saying, I don't know what I believe anymore when it comes to this life, the next life, would it be healthy to point out some of this evidence and say, you know what, there is a reason for you to have faith? Do you need physical evidence to produce faith? Do most people need it?
I think faith, I think belief has a profound effect on what we can experience. Belief can be either positive or negative. What we can believe can be a load of BS, or it can be absolutely correct. So I think belief has power. But I think before you can believe something, you need evidence. You need to experience either directly or accumulate a body of evidence that is so substantial that you absolutely know. And for me and my studies of after death, that came from a huge amount of study and also some direct experiences that had proved it to me. I don't think anyone should believe in anything. I think they should look for evidence and make up their own decision. But life after death, it's not a subject that if you're just going to skim the surface, you're really not going to come to an understanding. It's something you need to dig deep and dig skeptically. And when you do it in that way, my goodness, I think learning about the evidence for life after death can really, when you dig deep, it can totally change your understanding of life and why you're here and what you do from that point forward.
We have about 2 minutes here, Mike. I'm going to throw kind of a wide range question, but I know I have faith in you that you can narrow it down, get the pun there. Why is it that there are two circumstances that can make us believe or make us have faith in a hurry? And that is extreme fear, whether it be of extinction, or extreme need. How come we can't seem to summon that, the majority of people, in circumstances if they're not one or the other?
Absolutely. I think in desperate circumstances, I think our mind is such that we have to latch on to something. I think the unknown is the scariest thing ever. And therefore, we have a need to latch on to something, to either believe something, or I think it's just the way we're made. We need to latch on to something. Unknowns, that's the scariest thing ever.
Yeah. And you know what? Let's, at the beginning of next hour, as we get into the paranormal stuff, let's talk a little bit about that first, about overcoming fear. We've talked about the need part of it, but there in your book, Unlock Gratitude Now, which again, you can go to unlockgratitudenow.com/gift and get the text of the book for free. You talk about an easy way to overcome fear. So I think when we come back, let's talk a little bit about fear, because it does rule some people's lives to the point where you have conditions like anxiety, severe anxiety, and you freeze up. I mean, I think that's one of the most powerful emotions out there besides love. I think love and fear are probably the two things.
Oh, definitely. Totally agree with you.
That rule our society as we know it. We're going to take a break. Again, unlockgratitudenow.com/gift. And Mike, what do people get when they go to that site for free, nonetheless?
Well, they get the ebook of Unlock Gratitude Now. They also get an audio book, What Happens When We Die. It's a book I produced back in 2002 or 2001, and also 30 Days to Empowerment, Success and Happiness. It's a video course that includes mind over matter experiments that people can actually replicate for themselves.
Wow. I'm checking it out after we're done here, because it's That just, you say things sound fantastical or too good to be true. It's not that it doesn't sound too good to be true. Again, I'm a skeptic like you, so I got to see it for myself. When we come back in our next hour, we'll talk with Mike Pettigrew about the paranormal, the afterlife, and what it is he's found out about the afterlife. It's all coming up next on the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio.